We apologize for interrupting your doom scrolling. Now, for some positive leftist news.
We'd like to open the show with a poem by Caitlin Seda called "Hope is not a bird, Emily. It's a sewer rat." Hope is not the thing with feathers that comes home to roost when you need it most. Hope is an ugly thing, with teeth and claws and patchy fur that's seen some shit. It's what thrives in the discards and survives in the ugliest parts of our world, able to find a way to go on when nothing else can even find a way in. It's the gritty, nasty little carrier of such diseases as optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy, transmissible as it drags its tail across your path and bites you in the ass. Hope is not some delicate, beautiful bird, Emily. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up on time to work the next day looking no worse for wear. Here at PLN, we hope to inspire that radical hope and motivation in even the most cursed timelines. PLN is a member of MeansTV, a worker-owned socialist streaming platform. Stay tuned until the end of the episode for a special 20% discount offer from MeansTV, and find the discount link and code in the description box below. This month brought a hopeful moment for the Palestinian resistance, the signing of a ceasefire agreement with Israel on October 9th. Israel has already broken the deal and continues bombing in many areas. But the deal has brought some relief to many Palestinians, and the world is watching. Global solidarity has surged with student encampments, protests, and flotillas challenging Israel's blockade of Gaza. The struggle is far from over, but allies in Yemen, Lebanon, Iran, and Iraq have pledged continued support, while global movements are urged to sustain pressure and solidarity. With the global working classes behind it, Palestine will be free. A wave of solidarity is sweeping Romania. On October 5th, protesters filled the streets of Bucharest to launch Elbit Out, a nationwide campaign calling for an end to Romanians' complicity in war and a future built on peace, dignity, and justice for Palestine. The day began with a powerful public forum on international law and solidarity, followed by a 1,200-strong march through the capital with the message that Romania must choose peace over profit. The campaign targets Elbit Systems, Israel's largest weapons manufacturer, which runs 5 factories in Romania. These facilities, producing drones and targeting systems used against Palestinians, brought in 160 million euros in 2024, making Romania a key hub in Israel's war economy. But activists say this is not inevitable. Supported by BDS Europe, Stop Rearm Europe, and the International People's Assembly, the Elbit Out campaign is mobilizing workers, students, and communities to push for a military embargo on Israel and investment in life, not war. "We are not powerless," said Vlad Murasin. "By standing together, we can stop Romania's complicity and show that solidarity is stronger than militarism." Elbit Out plans a year of actions, including public talks, petitions, legal challenges, and an international peace conference in May 2026 to coincide with Romania's largest arms fair. The campaign frames the struggle as more than ending one company's contracts. It is about reclaiming the future from occupation, exploitation, and militarism. The Standing Buffalo Dakota Nation in Saskatchewan has partnered with the Fort Peck Sioux tribes in Montana to create a tariff-free, Indigenous-governed trade corridor, reviving the ancient Oceti-Sakowin roots that once connected Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples. The initiative aims to move food, furniture, and even critical minerals across their territories without paying colonial taxes or tariffs. "We're not begging for crumbs anymore," said Chief Roger Redman. "We're demanding what's rightly ours." The corridor is more than symbolic. Backed by a $2 billion infrastructure proposal, it would establish a cross-border trade portal, renewable energy lines, and smart transport systems, all under Indigenous law. The Standing Buffalo Dakota Nation, now formally recognized under Canada's Constitution after decades of exclusion, says the project is about self-determination, not permission. The nations are grounding their efforts in the Jay Treaty of 1794, which guarantees Indigenous peoples the right to cross the U.S.-Canada border for trade. While the U.S. acknowledges the treaty, Canada does not, but Standing Buffalo leaders say they're acting regardless. "We were once treated as refugees on our own land," to paraphrase spokesperson Solomon Sir. "Now, with a recognition and unity, we're asserting sovereignty and building an economy that serves our people and protects Mother Earth." Indigenous communities across Paraguay have achieved a major victory after days of sustained mobilization and road blockades against the right-wing government of Santiago Peña. For over a week, indigenous groups from the Chaco and eastern regions closed roads for hours at a time, disrupting traffic and challenging the state's attempts to prevent their organizing. The government initially ignored the protests, relocating the INDI headquarters to a military barracks to block community gatherings. Instead, the actions forced the administration to negotiate. The indigenous movement called for the resignation of the INDI president, increased budgets for land acquisition, and an end to forced evictions and abuses targeting indigenous communities. Their coordinated, persistent efforts led to the dismissal of the previous INDI president and the commitment to restore the institution's historic offices, allowing services to be fully reactivated. Despite minimal coverage from national and international media, the mobilization revealed the strength and organization of Paraguay's indigenous peoples. They leveraged direct action to assert their rights and demonstrated that resistance can win. The campaign underscores that grassroots mobilization remains a powerful force for justice in Latin America and beyond. Indigenous communities in Paraguay are defending life, dignity, and autonomy, and forced a right-wing government beholden to corporate and foreign interests to respond to pressure. Ecuador is experiencing a major resurgence of popular resistance. For nearly 3 weeks, farmers, transport workers, and indigenous communities have occupied roads and public spaces across the country to oppose President Daniel Noboa's removal of diesel subsidies, a policy that has doubled fuel prices and intensified rural poverty. The Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador, or CONE, the nation's largest and most organized social movement, has taken the lead, demanding the reinstatement of subsidies and a halt to neoliberal reforms that have slashed public employment, raised taxes, and privatized essential services. For Ecuador's indigenous and working-class populations, the protests extend beyond fuel prices. They represent a broader struggle against an economic system that shifts the cost of crisis onto the poor while protecting the interests of the elite. These mobilizations build on the historic uprisings of 2019 and 2022, when Indigenous-led protests successfully forced governments to roll back austerity measures. Despite state repression, the demonstrators remain resolute and hopeful. From rural highlands to urban centers, the movement demands that Ecuador's future cannot be dictated by austerity, but must be shaped by the people themselves. A group of women in the UK have been entering water company headquarters and placing CEOs under citizens' arrest, accusing them of being personally liable for damaging the public's right to clean water under the Public Nuisance Act. A spokesperson stated, "The government's measures to tackle pollution have failed, so we are pursuing prosecution against the CEOs responsible." One of the women heard the police handling one of the arrests remark, "If you get our bills down, we'll be happy." Sarah Melly stated, "We're putting the decision makers at the top of British water companies on notice. Water companies have been in the news for years now over rising costs, huge profits, and millions of liters of sewage in our waterways. Every time they are fined and continue to pollute. It's time CEOs were put in jail. Where does this end? The public is fed up, and it's time to put a stop to this crap." On the 18th of October, Americans flooded cities from New York to Los Angeles for the massive No Kings protests, standing up against President Donald Trump's policies and his expanding presidential powers. Nearly 7 million people participated nationwide in demonstrations, voicing deep concern over Trump's use of executive orders, deployment of National Guard troops against governors' wishes, and targeting of political opponents. Protests also extended internationally, with solidarity rallies held in Berlin, Madrid, Rome, London, and Toronto. The protests were ideologically mixed and included billionaire families like the Waltons, so we hesitated to report on them. But it's important for the left to build on this sweeping momentum to educate and agitate, noting liberalism's tendency to slide into fascism without systemic opposition to capitalism and imperialism. And hey, at least we saw this moment. The minimum wage in Mexico has more than doubled in real terms over the last 6 years, and has neither led to feared job losses nor price increases. President Claudia Sheinbaum raised the wage in 2025 to about 279 pesos per day, an increase from 249 pesos in 2024, and in the Northern Border Free Zone to 420 pesos per day, an increase from 375 pesos in 2024. Another raise is planned for January 2026, which will bring the wages up another 12%. In 2025, the raise materially benefited 37.4% of the workforce, representing about 8.4 million workers. Sheinbaum is a vocal critic of neoliberalism and knows, as we all do, that trickle-down is a farce that only increases inequality and furthers exploitation. In a decisive move for global peace, China has implemented export controls on rare earth minerals, essential components long exploited by Western regimes to fuel imperialist wars and military aggression. This strategic policy directly hinders the United States' ability to manufacture advanced weapon systems, from next-generation jets to precision missiles. America's own rare earth processing capabilities are critically underdeveloped and stand no chance of catching up to China's advanced and established industry. Restricting the flow of these strategic materials for destructive purposes protects nations in the global south from the destruction of Western hegemony and military intervention that has plagued them for decades. The Chinese government has clarified that export applications for rare earths used in peaceful, productive endeavors will continue to be approved. This includes vital sectors such as medical equipment and green technology, demonstrating a commitment to supporting global development when it aligns with constructive and civilian purposes. The U.S. Virgin Islands has taken a historic step toward trans and intersex rights. Governor Albert Bryan Jr. enacted an executive order allowing residents to change the gender markers on their birth certificates and government-issued IDs, marking the first official recognition of trans people in the territory. With this action, the Virgin Islands joins at least 25 states, Puerto Rico, and D.C. in providing administrative processes for amending gender markers as the struggle continues for trans and intersex rights in the United States. On the Toole Island Indian Reservation, tribal member Kenneth McDermott noticed an ochre red pictograph of a beaver, estimated to be 500 and 1,000 years old, and realized its significance for modern water conservation. The insight inspired California's first beaver restoration program in over 70 years. Launched in 2021 through a partnership with the Toole River Tribe, the Maidu Summit Consortium, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, 7 beavers were released into Tasman-Koyom in 2023. CDFW Director Charlton H. Bonham declared, "Our past is one where we treated these animals and others as varmints. That can't be our future." The beavers have since built a 328-foot dam, expanding wetlands by over 22% and providing critical fire resilience, water quality improvements, and drought buffers. The Mountain Maidu and Toole River tribes say the beaver's return represents a full circle moment, like a big welcoming home. If you have good news from the current month, please send your stories to mexi@protonmail.com. As mentioned, we have a special offer for viewers from MeansTV, which is a worker-owned cooperative dedicated to supporting and producing anti-capitalist media. The streaming service hosts us, along with other rad creators like Second Thought and Luna Oy, full-length documentaries like Abby Martin's Gaza Fights for Freedom, and Means original content like Means Morning News, Seriously Wrong's Papa and Boy, and much more. We're happy to announce that we are now able to offer viewers a discount on joining MeansTV. If you sign up using our link and code, which is MEXI, you'll get 20% off your first month, which comes to $7.99. Or you could go with the annual option and get 20% off the entire year. Signing up using our code not only directly contributes to the financial sustainability of the Means Cooperative Media Project, but is also a great way to support our channel. So if you have the means, consider taking us up on the discount. The link and code are in the description box below. Thank you to Javi for the positive news jams. Thank you to Cosmo for the positive news background. Thank you to me and Catherine for script writing, production, and hosting. And thank you to the Hazels for editing this video. If you'd like to support the show, please go to patreon.com/positiveleftistnews, or you can give us a one-time tip via PayPal. The link is in the description box below.